For this lesson, we're going to talk about constructions. Our objective is I can copy and bisect segments and angles with the technique of constructions. Now, both of these, we could just copy this segment over by using a ruler, like if we grabbed a ruler and just measured it and copied it over, or if we used a protractor to get the angle measure for this, we could copy that one. That's not what we're talking about here. Here we're using tools of a straight edge and a compass, and using these tools we're going to recreate these with the same length for the segment and the same angle measure for the angle. Now, I'm going to start with the segment. I'm going to talk about copying it over. If I want to copy this segment, what I do is I take this first segment here and I first of all just create a long segment here that is a starting point. We're just going to start with that. And to measure off how long this segment AB is, I take my compass and I put one end of the compass at A and the other end I see how far it is to B, and I mark that off just to show that that's what the length is. And now I go here to this end point, put it there where A would be, and then mark off where B would be. Don't erase your markings. That allows me to see what it is when you recreated it, that's from A to B, and that's what the length is. Now, if you were asked to, for instance, maybe double that length and come up with it again, you still take this length. Remember, I measured this off, and I'm not changing the width of this compass. And I could go here and say from there to there is the length of twice what AB is. That's how you can add segments together or possibly subtract by starting at B and going backwards if you had to subtract off some segment length that was given to you. So that's how you copy it, and that's also how you add or subtract segments. Now, let's go ahead and talk about how you would bisect that segment. Okay, so that's the technique for copying it. If I want to bisect this segment, what I do is I take my compass and I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to go at least past halfway on this segment. Okay, it is critical that you go at least past halfway for it. And then you take it and don't change your length here, and you go on B and mark off an arc that shows where those two are the same distance away from both A and B. Those 2 points determine another segment for us, and that segment is going to bisect this one, and it's going to tell me when I bisect it. So if I draw this in, here's the bisector of that segment. This then would be called the midpoint. I'm just going to call it an M to illustrate that that's called the midpoint. So that's how you find where the midpoint is, or you bisect that segment. This length from M to B is the same length as from A to M. Okay, now that's how you do it with this segment. Let's use the same ideas, and we're going to do that now with an angle. I want to copy this angle over to a new angle. So what I want to do is I'm going to start off by coming and drawing again just a common ray here. So you start with just a ray. Once you've got that ray, then we take our compass and we're going to start doing some measurements. Now, what we'll do with this measurement is I'm going to come back to my original and mark an arc on it. So I'm going to come back here and put my end point, for you would be the point part of the compass, at the vertex, which is E here, and mark an arc. Okay? Try to keep that from drifting too much there. I'm going to come back over here and mark that same arc here. I'm going to make it bigger because I don't know where to end it. Okay? So there's my arc there. Now I can figure out what the width of this is using this as a measuring tool. So I'll put it at one spot where it intersects one of the rays and see how wide it is. Change this so that it has now the same width as that to see what that ray marking is. I go back here, I have one spot where that arc intersects one of the rays, so I'll put it there. Now it's my job to see how far it is to where it intersects the other. This is a measuring tool to help measure that off. Once I have that, I can now connect those, the end point of my original ray here, and I connect it to there. And now I've copied angle DEF over here with the same angle measure. This angle measure and that angle measure are the same because I've copied it over. My last technique, what I want to do is I want to take and I want to bisect this angle. To do that, I use my compass here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to mark the arc, just like I did before. Now remember when you copied, you had to create a ray. Here I'm going to work right on the angle itself. So I'm going to go and put my this part here on the vertex, and then I'm going to mark an arc here on the intersecting the two rays of the angle. And now I'm going to take this, and each spot where it intersects each of the rays, I'm going to mark an arc, a second arc from there. So this arc out here, second one from there, and then this one, I go where it intersects that ray, and I mark this arc out here. And now I've got 2 points, the vertex and that spot there, that tell me where these two will form our bisector. And so I take now, and I'm going to connect the vertex to that, and I now have a bisected angle. That's my angle bisector for that. So what we've done here is we've done 2 constructions for segments and 2 constructions for angles. The first one we did for segments, we copied segments over, and we also use that if we add or if we subtract segments by copying those other segments. Then we also took and we bisected the segment by marking arcs and seeing where they intersected and connecting them. That found the midpoint. Then we took our angle and we went ahead and copied it over by drawing a ray and then marking an arc and then seeing how wide that arc was using our compass and marking that off. And then we also bisected the angle by marking an arc, and from those 2 intersection points, marking those arcs as well. So we now have our constructions.